So now we're having a look at questions 7b and 8 for extension and 8b for advanced. And we've got xy equals minus 6. So they've said to make y the subject. So I want this one on its own. I want to get rid of x. At the moment, y is times by x. So I need to divide both sides by x. And I end up with y equals minus 6 on x. That's it, all they want. If we were to do the next one, so that was 7b, or 8b for advanced students. If we were to do question 8, which isn't in the advanced textbook, it says to write down, the coordinates. I still have to sketch its graph. Well. Here we go. Y-axis. You get very lazy at these at a point. X-axis. I know it's negative, so it's going to look like that. And that's it. That's literally it. I've sketched it. If they want you to put a point in, when x equals 1, y equals minus 6. So that would be the point 1 comma minus 6. So, but that's all you would have to do. Okay, for question 8, which is a really tricky question, they've said write down the coordinates of the points closest to the origin. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. And if I'd drawn it correctly, like at all well, you would have been able to see that the points closest to the origin, are these ones like directly here, because the origin is this point here. And those points are the ones on the line y equals minus x, because y equals positive x goes up. So it's y equals minus x. So if I have xy equals minus 6 and y equals minus x, what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute in y equals minus x for y. So I've got x times minus x equals minus 6. Divide both sides by the minus, I get x squared equals 6. So x equals plus minus the square root of 6. So when x equals the positive square root of 6, y, well, that times something equals negative 6, so the other thing must be negative root 6, because root 6 times root 6 is 6. And a positive times a negative gives me the negatives. And then by the same token, when x is minus root 6, y is positive root 6. So these points here, closest to the x-axis, will be root 6 comma negative root 6, and this one's negative root 6 comma root 6. Okay, question 8.2 says to list any integer coordinates. So this is where x and y are both whole numbers. They don't have to be positive, but they both have to be whole numbers. Now this would have been impossible for the first question because we would have had x times y equals a half, and what whole number times another whole number equals a half? Nothing. But we've got plenty of whole numbers that times together to give negative 6. So for example, if x equals negative 1, y would be positive 6. So we'd have negative 1 comma 6. If x equals positive 1, y equals negative 6. So 1 comma negative 6. If x equals minus 2, y equals positive 3. So it's minus 2 comma 3. If x equals positive 2, y equals negative 3. So that's 2 comma negative 3. These are all on these points, all on these hyperbolas, by the way. And you'll see that if you draw them nicer than I did. When x equals 3, y equals negative 2. So we've got 3 comma negative 2. x equals, oh, over this question already, y equals 2, -3, 2, x equals 6, y equals -1, and finally x equals -6, y equals +1. I think I've got them all. That's all the pairs where they're times together to give whole numbers. So x times y equals -6, and they're both whole numbers times together to give -6. So I've got some Skittles, I'm going to eat one, or 3. I do taste the rainbow.